What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to talk about Tesla sales and what's happening with the share price. I'm going to do some calculations about what I think Tesla sales could look like for the quarter, not to mention some very, very interesting technical analysis on how it's looking. But just know that I am not a financial planner. Take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. And the offer ends very soon, in just about 2 days from now. Anyways, now let's talk about Tesla. So, as you guys know, the share price is looking more bullish. We got this inverse head and shoulders like breakouts, and we're forming a very, very giant cup right now. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla continues to push. I think that we are bouncing off our 20 EMA so far. We're looking bullish on the 4 hour, about to get across on the PPO, and the volume is still holding up consistently. So I think there's a very good chance that on Monday, Tesla's going to try to continue to push in anticipation of its deliveries. And this could lead to even more upside for the 265 targets, if not the highs up here very close to 270. So overall, Tesla could be forming a cup. It looks more bullish, it's doing a good job, and I do favor upside for now. Now, I want to talk about something else. When it comes to other factors for Tesla, we have two big catalysts coming up over the next couple of weeks. We have Tesla's robotaxi event on the 10th. That's going to be big for them. But before that happens, what some people may have forgotten is the fact that on October 2nd, we have deliveries coming out around 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So credit to Troy Teslak for tweeting this, making this very, very clear. So usually Tesla is on time. Sometimes they're a little bit late, but it most definitely is usually on the second day of the month. So I can't wait to see what this looks like. So October 2nd, before the market opens, the numbers should be coming out. If they're a little bit late, it could be like very, very close to market open. Sometimes that happens, but almost always it's going to be on the second day of the month. So we're going to be looking to see how things end up looking. So I can't wait to see Tesla's numbers for their Q3 deliveries. The question is, how are they going to be looking like? I'm going to be talking about this in this video. So the first big markets to be looking at is going to be China. How are Chinese sales looking? I have some very important data to show you guys. So we're going to look at the Chinese sales so far. Look at this chart right here. This is absolutely beautiful because when you look at this purple line, right, we were getting very strong sales compared to like Q4 of 2023, for example. And now, if you look at them side by side, our sales are actually keeping up with Q4 of 2023. My point is, Q4 is usually a very strong period in sales for China during the holiday season, and yet Tesla's sales in China are very, very close to them so far. So we're hoping for a very, very big push for the final week of the quarter. The data is not sufficient yet, but I do have an estimate for it. So I'm trying to say that basically what happens is every single one of these weeks, Tesla has been consistently getting between over 10,000. I would say like around 12,000 at the lowest, and at the highest around 16,000. We could even see something higher than that because, firstly, the end of the quarter does tend to be very, very strong. And then Tesla also announced that their sales are going to be continuing with the low interest rates in China. So that's very, very bullish news for them. So I think that this could lead to a big surge in sales for the final week. So that's why my estimate comes out to this for China. So in China, okay, and also let me just call out that statistically, they do have a tendency of doing around 400, 140 to 170,000, but we already have 158,000 so far with one more week left. So I think we could easily do 172,500 to 175,500 for a big push for the end of our quarter for Q3 in Chinese sales. This looks very, very probable, and there's a very good chance where they surpass at least 170,000 or even well above that. I think there's a very, very good chance of that. They could even do something better than that, so we'll have to see. But the Chinese sales look very, very strong. Okay, and then what about the European sales? I think that's a question on a lot of people's minds. I have the numbers right here. I want to show you. So if you look at their total European sales, this is just in some countries, doesn't really have everything. They're actually keeping up very, very well in a lot of these countries with Q2 of 2024 and many other past quarters in 2023. So they're still keeping up. If we get a big push for the final week, we could be looking for some nice looking numbers. This doesn't include every single European country, but you could see the sales are very consistent with previous data. If you look at the total sales over the year, it's still keeping up with what we saw in 2023. So, what does this tell us? I actually looked at some sources. You can see that this is what the data looks like. A little bit weaker here, but we're not really looking at the numbers from like Germany and the others. So, I wouldn't be surprised if in Europe, if so, we do have a tendency in Europe of getting around 80,000, 85,000, 80,000 consistently. Like every single one of the last couple of quarters besides Q2 of 2024 has been around 80,000. If you look at the numbers, I just keep seeing that. So my point is we could do around 80,000 sales in Europe, maybe a little bit lower. We'll have to see about that, which is still just average for Europe, not super strong, not super weak, kind of like in the middle. I think that's most likely going to come as long as these aren't way too bad. I think this is very probable, something around like 80,000 in for all of Europe's sales. That seems very, very possible. So that's what this is kind of suggesting. Not that strong overall, though, but not bad. And then we also have the USA. So what do I see for the USA? I was looking over some data and I found something else that was very interesting. Going back right over here, you could see that we have the US sales per quarter. And I was actually looking at data somewhere around here that shows the sales for every single month. And we have a very, very consistent trend. So when you look at their monthly sales, I was showing somewhere here. I have to find this again. But I basically calculated that we do have a tendency of getting around 150, 100 to 160,000 sales at least per quarter for Tesla, almost every single time for the USA. So if you look at this, I just have to find where the monthly sales happen to be. We do have a tendency of looking at some pretty good looking numbers. So we could see that I think these are the quarterly sales in China, not bad. In the USA, I saw somewhere here it shows like their monthly sales. They were actually pretty decent, at least for Tesla. And I can't wait to see how things end up looking. But anyways, I don't think I have to find it, guys. I think I already calculated all of this. So what I'm trying to say is that in the USA, Tesla has a tendency of getting around 154, 172, 157,000 sales. We were kind of weak for Q2 of 2024 because that was an anomaly. But I think that Tesla will most likely get back on track for 155 to 160,000 sales, maybe even higher than that, depending on how well it goes. So if we estimate Tesla does around 160,000 sales in the USA, that's very possible. We could see something very similar to that. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up getting numbers that are just like very similar. And then if we end up getting, let's just say, about 50,000 in other regions, that kind of aligns with the fact that about 12.8% of their sales come from like Australia and other regions, at least statistically, so around 10%, or maybe a little bit more than that. So that's why I got around 50,000. Usually it's between like 40 and like 60,000 a quarter. So it makes a lot of sense, right? So this is also like very, very possible. Statistically, it's usually around 40 to 60,000. When you add everything up, you get around 462,500 to about 465,500 sales for Tesla in total for everything else. And this aligns very similar to that of Dan Ives. He calculated that Tesla should be beating the 462,000 target with around 465 to 470,000 deliveries in total, but we could be seeing 470,000 plus. Now, in order for us to achieve 470,000 plus, what we need is European sales. I'm not too confident about these. They're kind of like sluggish right now. So 80,000 seems very probable. Chinese sales look strong. So this is going to be pretty strong, in my opinion. 172,000 plus is most likely going to come. So that's going to be very realistic, very pragmatic. I'm not as sure about other sales. 50,000 is like possible, maybe a little higher, but it depends on the USA. Okay. It really depends on what the USA can achieve. We're going to be looking at these numbers. Can we do 160,000 sales in the USA, or will we get another like 5,000 or something like that? We'll have to wait on this. This is going to be very important. So I have to like wait and see what the US looks like. Can we get an additional 5,000, another 10,000? I don't know, guys, but I do think that it's going to be very close to that 160,000 mark. And that does kind of like put us set for this target of us beating on estimates, or basically by a small margin. It could be a bigger margin if the US sales are even stronger. So I think this depends a lot on those. Now, we have time left. Okay. We still have another week's worth of data that's still yet to come out. We're still waiting to see what the US reports. I don't know what the US sales will look like, but this is going to most likely be the most important thing that hinges on, or at least Tesla's deliveries will hinge upon this. So I think that most likely we'll get 462,500 or more, but for us to really beat estimates, we need to see a strong surge in USA sales. It's very possible, right? It's very, very possible we get something like that. That's the most important factor, in my opinion, because I know that the European sales might be a little sluggish and the Chinese sales look very strong. So it all depends on the USA sales. With that being said, I think Tesla could realistically beat the estimates that are being set right now by Wall Street. Tesla could beat them. They could do very, very well. And there's a very, very good chance we will end up doing a pretty good job. So I think Tesla will do well. I think that approaching the big deliveries events, Tesla could try to push a little bit higher. So, should be more upside coming for basically on Monday and Tuesday. But then Wednesdays when we have deliveries before the market opens. So we'll see if that causes Tesla to continue the pump or not. But overall, we'll see how Tesla does. But I am anticipating decent sales. We'll see how the USA helps Tesla's sales. Do we end up beating estimates thanks to that or not? I think we will beat estimates. I already gave you guys what my estimate is, but this could, change depending on how well the US sales look. So for now, we're most likely going to beat estimates. To really beat them by a bigger margin, we need even stronger sales in the USA. We'll see if that ends up being the case or not. I thank you all so much for listening. That's it for my update. I want to make this one very, very short and simple. I think Tesla will do well, and we'll see how things go over the next couple of days. I'll be back tomorrow to give you guys another update on the overall market where I break down SPY, the QQQ, and the others. Until then, have a great weekend. Enjoy your Saturday, and I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow for another update. Thanks again, and peace out.